The Israeli military says it's taken control of the Gaza side of the Rafah border crossing in what it calls a counterterrorism operation. As of right now, the IDF says it's killed about 20 people that it calls terrorists, and this comes just after Hamas announced it agreed to a ceasefire proposal. Foreign correspondent Marcus Moore has the latest from Tel Aviv.
Israel launched a ground operation in the southern Gaza city of Rafah. The IDF saying it killed 20 members of Hamas and found 3 operational tunnel shafts. And they have taken control of the critical Rafah crossing. This morning, videos show Israeli flags now flying on the Palestinian side of the border. This as Hamas says they are willing to accept a new ceasefire proposal. The deal, a different agreement than one proposed by Israel, includes a permanent end of military operations and the withdrawal of Israeli forces from areas adjacent to the border inside Gaza. Israel now reviewing the plan, but has yet to agree to these terms. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying Hamas's counteroffer is, quote, far from Israel's core demands, which included a 6-week ceasefire and releasing some Palestinian prisoners for up to 33 hostages. Despite the uncertainty, crowds in Gaza celebrating Hamas's announcement. While in Tel Aviv today, relatives of hostages demonstrated in front of the U.S. consulate, demanding the Israeli government accept the deal. Do you worry that this operation in Rafah will affect the efforts to release the hostages?
Yes, I'm afraid that they will all be dead.
The family of Hirsch Goldberg Poland, who's been held hostage by Hamas since October 7th, speaking with us this morning.
It's been 214 days. We need to be reunited with our loved ones. We're not going to solve everything in the Middle East right now today. Let's get our loved ones out. Let's bring a calm to the region.
And Diane, today we are here at Hostage Square, where the memorials you see behind me pay homage to those being held captive right now in the midst of this war. And while the IDF said overnight that their latest operation in Rafah is limited in scale, the relatives of some of those being held hostage fear what the outcome could mean for their loved ones. Diane.
Foreign correspondent Marcus Moore in Israel, thank you. And as Israeli troops entered the Rafah border crossing, President Biden is warning Israel against a full ground invasion. The White House says the president spoke to Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu again yesterday, stressing an invasion would worsen the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Now Biden is facing growing pressure to broker a ceasefire deal. Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce has the latest. Hi, Mary.
Well, the Biden administration is heavily invested in these talks, which they see as the best chance to ease the dire humanitarian situation in Gaza and also diffuse this crisis, both abroad but also here at home, as the president faces growing political pressure. And we see these protests on campuses across the country only growing as well. Now, for now, the talks continue. The White House clearly is hoping that a deal here can still be reached. But the back and forth of the last 24 hours really just goes to show how volatile and fluid this situation really is, and all of this coming as the U.S. continues to urgently warn Israel not to invade Rafah. That is a message that the president made and reiterated directly yesterday in his 30-minute phone call with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. But so far, Netanyahu doesn't seem to be heeding those warnings. The U.S. deeply concerned that an operation like this would only exacerbate the humanitarian crisis. So the big question now, what comes next? If they do go through with this, how would the U.S. respond? I have pressed the White House on whether they would put limits or conditions on U.S. aid to Israel. Their response, Diane, we'll see what happens.
Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce, thank you.